Hey everybody there, how is it going? I'm hoping this is working because I am running with a couple technical difficulties a minute ago, but I believe I got them fixed. Might have to do some stuff here in Streamlabs to double check this. Let's double check if I can actually be heard. Sir. Hello, hello. All right, it is working. Had to just check for the monitors. All right, so I had a very crazy, interesting morning with having to deal with Apple for AirPods. They've like lost my Apple Care, which is the weirdest thing I think I've said before. Like, how do you lose Apple Care? But they like couldn't figure out that I had it. They somehow attached my Apple Care to somebody else's account. So it took literally 2.5 hours to get that straightened out. That was a wonderful morning of fun. Now I have a child who is aggravated and wants me to get their Wi-Fi working. So hold on one second. There we go. So now they have Wi-Fi. Okay. So today what I'm working on here is a couple of different things, ways I wanted to go about today. So first of all, I upgraded my whole system to PHP8. I did that because I did it by accident. So I did an update on whatchamacallit, just a homebrew update. And I always screw this up. I meant to just update homebrew itself, and I always type the wrong command that makes me upgrade all of my stuff. So I did the wrong command and I updated or upgraded everything, which yeah, that is some good stuff there to have happen. So everything got upgraded, and next thing you know, I'm sitting there with PHP8 on my system. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to just go with it and roll with it and see what happens. I had to upgrade Homestead, got everything working. It's working really well. I was able to play around with it. Everything is working great with PHP8 on my system. No issues at all, except for VSCode. VSCode, here, I'm going to pop open VSCode all the way so you guys can see this. And let me bump up some screen stuff. I think that's a good size. So here's the problem that VS Code has right now. If you look at my code, you see that there's no like little squiggles or anything wrong with anything. It's looking like everything looks great. Like there's no errors or there's no nothing. It's not 100% true. I had to disable IntelliFence, and I had to remove completely. I had IntelliSense, PHP IntelliSense, and I had IntelliFence on here. Had to disable them both. Had to completely remove IntelliSense, and this one is just disabled now because it just doesn't work with PHP8 yet. So there's all of these things that you would like use in PHP8 that are obviously are not yet real, like according to IntelliFence, is not a thing, like matches, right? Like the match statement, or doing, things like this with like union types. So it explodes on me when I try to do this. So I had to disable them, which sucks. I'm hoping that these tools get updated soon, so that way it'll work again. But in the meantime, I had to disable it. So that sucks in a lot of different ways, because now it just makes everything a little bit more difficult. Like I no longer have like jump to a thing. Now I can't, like, if I'm like, oh, what's going on with this thing, I can't like do a jump to get like, view that class. So that's the thing that sucks the most right now about my system. Everything else is working great. I'm finding PHP8 to be actually faster on my system than I was the PHP 7.4, like significantly. Like I notice it. First time I loaded up a page, I was like, whoa, that's something there. That's actually doing something. So I was it might just be placebo, but I don't think so. Like I've the past 2 days, there are 3 days I've been using this now. 5 days. Sorry, I did this Saturday. So I've noticed, and I feel like the system is just way snappier. So I'm really enjoying it. But again, like I said, just Visual Studio Code, or VS Code, just isn't ready for it yet. So that's like my biggest pet peeve. I did install, what's that other thing that everybody uses? PHP Storm, to play around with that. And that's way better with all of the PHP 8 stuff. So I may have to jump into there just to play around with it. And PHP Storm is great with obviously PHP, but it sucks with all the stuff that I want for Vue. So Vue is better in VS Code for me, and my VS Code was nicely set up for PHP, and now it's not. So I have to I have this weird juggling act that I have to do where it's like if I get into a really like a weird hole with something, I'm gonna have to jump back into PHP Storm to try to play with that in there. But hopefully that doesn't happen today. And if it does, it does. Then we'll go from there. But hopefully nothing happens. We can just kind of play around with this and work with it. So, all right, let's look at some of the things I've done. So you can see here right now, this is my model queries. I'm taking full advantage here of promoted. I think it's called promoted properties. This is new in PHP 8, which is it's super nice. Again, it's nice. I like it. It definitely makes things a little bit cleaner, but it's not like, the end of the world. But it's just pretty cool to be able to do this type of stuff now. That I used the match statement a couple of times already. I think inside of roles, or no, I think inside of updates. Let's see if I go to model filters. Where did I put that? Model factory. Yeah, inside of my model factory. So this was actually really kind of a nice little thing here that I do. So this model factory, this is just an update statement, which just like it'll update my code or update a model for me. So it's just nice because the way this works is I have it like kind of overloaded when you do a couple of different things. So if you have if I got several different, like if I just put in one thing, I can do one thing. And this was kind of just this really large if statement before, where it's like if count is 1, if count is 2, if count is 3, do all these different things. So it was just really nice to kind of, I guess I could have taken care of this with a switch statement, but I never used, I don't know. I like the way this looks way better than a switch. So to me, this is just a nice little thing. It just looks really kind of fun, and it was super easy to do. Again, same thing with my remove, where it kind of takes in a bunch of different properties, and I'm able to just match on it and take care and just execute this code based on these different statements, or fail, which is the nice thing too, is that if something happens and you kind of drop in 4 or 5 of these things, I'll get an error here. So that's kind of nice too. I don't catch it or anything in here. I do catch an exception, the match. I forget what it's called. It's like match something exception. So I catch that in another place. So again, to me, this is just really kind of super easy, nice, like a visual change almost for me. Like it's like, oh, it's just super easy to just kind of play around with this stuff and just use it. So I think it makes my code a little bit easier to read. I don't know if it's for everybody. I don't think I would use this everywhere. Like I'm not going to be like, oh, I'll use match in 15 different places now. No, I just happened to have a couple of spots where I think it worked out really well. So these are those spots. So yeah, and if you see here, I got this one commented out. It's just because I'm not 100% sure if I should use this one. So this is just one of those statements where I was like, it was funny because I thought I actually removed this code, and then I was looking through it, and I was like, oh shit, that's still here. So I just commented it out now to make sure that I'm actually not using it anywhere, and I can delete it later. But again, just very easy to visually take a look at what I'm doing here and say and kind of change this code around. So I really like these things. I'm definitely using union types. It was something I really liked about that I really wanted, and where I use them a lot is, let me go into my, what the heck is the thing called? No, not dashboard. Let's look at process login. I think that that has it. Yeah. So here you go. Again, I think union types could be a bit of a code smell, right? In general, like if you start finding yourself doing like you want to like union some weird, like a lot of types or like something like that might be a problem. I think there's definitely, I've heard the argument be made that You don't really need a union type because that's a code smell. You shouldn't be like returning different things like that. However, I do find that there are places like here in this controller that a union type makes perfect sense. So what's happening here on this one, this is doing the processing of my login. So a user comes in and we're checking their username and password. So it redirects if I don't have the correct information, right? So if they try to, if they attempt to log in and, well, obviously if it doesn't validate, it's going to redirect back. If if the username and password are incorrect, it's going to redirect back with some sort of error message. So these are all just those different cases where, you're going to want to do a redirect. Now, if I log in, so if it passes and everything works correctly, I'm actually going to do a different return type here. So this is a case where I think it makes really good sense to have a return, have a union, and it's either a response or a redirect response. So they're both kind of similarly related. So it's not like, I'm doing like a response and then I don't know, something like, a response versus a collection or something like that. It's just really, it's a response versus a redirect response. So two different types of responses. I want to make sure I'm returning them, that I'm telling this thing that it's going to be one of those two things. And it either redirects back or it does an inertia location and redirects to a different page. And you might say, why are you shouldn't you just do two different, like a redirect to a different page then? Why do you have to use this thing? That's just because of the way that this code is set up. I actually have to use an inertia location because login is on a different subdomain. So login for my stuff is always going to be on this auth subdomain, auth.site.com, let's say. And then when you log in, it redirects you to your domain. So to do it, you have to do a full redirect in order for that to work. So inertia location will actually, I think it does a redirect, and then like it does a window locate. It does something with it goes to the page, notices that you wanted to do this, and it does a full window.location redirect or something like that. So however that works, it's two different response types. So this is a great place, I feel like, for using union types. But again, I try to use them sparingly, and I think other people should too. I think this could be a bit of a code smell if, again, it's like, oh, I need to do a response, a redirect response, a collection. It could be a model. It could be a this. It could be a that. Like, whoa. No, it shouldn't be. It should be one. Like pick a couple things there and try to figure out why it's doing it if you're doing too much stuff. But you can also see, again, this is more the issues with PHP or VS Code, where I don't know if it's really understanding that there's two separate things here. Like that's why this one's white, like the color looks a little bit different on these things. So you have response in blue and then this redirect response in white. Again, I think that's more just an issue of PHP Storm's, PHP Storm, VS Code, and the various tools for PHP inside VS Code are not yet really ready for PHP8, which I'm not complaining. I'm really not. Like, even though like these things are kind of slightly annoying to have to deal with, PHP8 came out on November 27th. It's December 9th today, so it's not like we're talking about like it's been 6 months or anything. It's been, it's been days. And that actually leads to one other point. I'm going to take a sip before I bring up this point, because I think this is important. Upgrading anything is a Herculean effort. So just thank you to anybody who's working on PHP or any tools that we use in the community. This shit is hard to do. And trying to update this stuff for new versions is not easy. So I've seen just comments and things going around on Twitter just for people who have been complaining about like, this thing's not working yet, son of a bitch. You've had all this time to get this shit working and it's not. They really haven't. They're still working on their other stuff. A lot of people do this stuff open source is kind of just like their spare time stuff. So chill out. If not, if you are waiting for people to like, if things like the fact that this text is still white, or you can't use IntelliFence yet or something like that, if those things bother you that much, don't fucking update yet. Just leave it alone. Don't do it. It's not that big of a deal to wait a little bit longer. It's going to take time for people to get all of their things up to date with PHP 8. It's going to have bugs in it once they finally do that, because there's things that they're learning at the same time you're learning it. So chill out, everybody. Just, you know, again, thank you to the community of people who are working on these tools. Really appreciate it. And I know that you sometimes get a lot of shit from people. You know, so thank you for putting up with that shit, I guess, is really the way of saying it. Because yeah, it can be crazy at times. I get it. And hopefully, you know, again, so just chill the fuck out, people. It's just, you know, there's so much. Actually, no. You know what? If you're that aggravated about it and you're really that pissed off that something hasn't been updated yet to PHP 8, fork over money. Be like, I'm mad this ain't working. Here's money. Please do this. Please fix this thing. That's what like we got to do, because so many of these people in the community are doing this stuff for free. So, you know, if you can, fork over some cash. If you can't, just, you know, take a moment, deep breaths, you know, and be patient, because it will be updated. Probably all of this stuff, you know, VS Code and everything is going to be ready to go by, like, you know, January, maybe February. You know, I'm not expecting it to be that much, you know, take that much more time. But hey, if it does, it does. So, all right. With that said, let's now move on. So, okay, so you can see here, I'm gonna try to update things as I go with PHP 8 stuff. So as I find new things that or different things that I can do, I'll try to incorporate them. But you know, it won't be necessarily in everything immediately. And I'm certainly not going to go through more code just to make sure that it does work. That's kind of a crazy way of doing things. But let's go over to here and my bad method call. All right, so one of the other things I was doing, now if you're following it along with any of this code from before that I was working on, it's a multi-tenant app. And over Monday and Tuesday, I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was having a problem with it. And the problems I was having was with roles. Roles and permissions are tricky. So because I have a lot of domain switching, like literally, so you can go to my dot whatever to auth dot or to admin dot or to whatever your domain happens to be. We have a lot of kind of jumping around. There's good reason to do that jumping, but there's also problems associated with that, all those jumps. And one of the problems is checking a user's role and if they should actually be there. So I was changing up how I was doing roles a couple of different times just to try to get it to work the way I wanted to. And I finally kind of settled on a path for handling user roles the way I wanted to do it. There are packages out there that exist. So there's packages like the Spatie permission, I think it's permission, Spatie Laravel permissions package, but it just isn't what I wanted to use. It's a good package. There's absolutely no problems with it. I think for most applications, it'll probably be fine. But my app, it's a special, unique snowflake. No, it's not. It's just, there's just in certain cases where it just doesn't work for me. One of the ways that it doesn't work is that I don't want to deal with permissions as much as I want to assign everyone a role, and that just gets the permission. So I don't want to do granular permissions. I just don't like, for this application, that was almost overkill. The other thing is that there's team-based, and then there's also kind of this idea that you can have different permissions based on what customer you happen to be associated with at the moment in time. So permissions for the system feel kind of complex. And to try to install somebody else's software and then shoehorn in to make it work, I didn't think was going to be the best idea. Sometimes that's just something you have to kind of do when you're working with a project. You may want to reach for a tool and you may want to reach for a package, but you have to kind of evaluate whether or not it's going to be more work to actually deal with that, like figuring out if that package works, than just building your own stuff. I sometimes go too much to the fuck it, I'm just going to build it myself thing, but I think this was the right call in this case to not use a different package and to try to build it myself. Because again, the permissions are actually simpler in some ways and complex in other ways. So let me show you what that means. If I go over to Table Plus real quick, open up Homestead, open up a database. I now have a roles table. And here's all my users and their connections to everything and all this stuff in there. So you don't have to read all these names, but you can just see. So there's two different types of permissions, first of all, or roles. One can be is account level. An account is everything in the system. So the account means you can connect to multiple websites, multiple workspaces. So you have access to changing the credit card information and all that. So that would be an account owner. So this guy right here, number one, he's an account owner. This guy right here is a member. Now, members are specifically targeted to a member of a particular, what I call workspace, or would be in the parlance of multi-tenant. This means this person, this user, is on a particular tenant. So they have to be kind of just attached to that one tenant in that, and then have their permission. Now, excuse me, the other thing is that they could be, so this person, whatever their ID number here is, right? This is their member ID. They could also be an admin somewhere else if that worked out that way for whatever reason. So, right? So they could be a member in this workspace, and then they could be maybe an owner in a different workspace, or they could be an admin or an editor in a different workspace. So they have the ability to have different roles based on the workspace they're in, or they can be an account level person. So an account level person, like this guy right here, is an account owner. He doesn't have a workspace. He's not attached to the workspace. He's the owner of the entire thing, so he can see every single account. There's also account admins, which again, they get removed from the permission set of a particular workspace, and they have global access to everything. The only difference is in it that an account admin cannot do anything with credit cards. So they can't see the credit card update page or any of that stuff, but an account owner can do all of that. And then people who have just permissions in a particular workspace, they can only access that information inside of the workspace. So this is what I've settled on, and this is working pretty nicely as I've been playing around with it. This also is going to help me really nicely with super admin capability. So one of the things I'm going to have to eventually build that I haven't done yet is the ability to add a user in as a super admin. And when a user becomes a super admin, that means, I'm a super admin, or other partners would be a super admin, but that's it. So when you're a super admin, what that would mean is that I'm going to probably build a tool that will inject you into the database with an account type of super. And my concept there is that you get injected as a super, you don't need a workspace ID now, and you have access to everything. So it's just like an account owner. And then you get maybe a couple other extra features on top of that. But that's the basic idea here. So this all works out really well. I had to go back to a table I was using before, just kind of like a role string on the user, but this is all working out really nicely. Here's my role, or my role model is right here. We just connect to this, and this has actually got to change. Yep, that's actually not this anymore. All right, so I got to quickly change this. But basically, the role model here now has workspace ID, member ID, and this is not required. This is just what I do. I make everything fillable just because I like fillable better than the other way. I forget what it is. So data is no longer an array because I was using this as a JSON string. So now it's, member ID. And that is a string because it's a UUID. And I'm going to make sure I cast workspace ID also to a string. Which that might be interesting because it's null. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Oh, and I need a type in here too, so type. This is definitely required. And I don't think I need to cast that to anything. Type is an enum too, so that's something else to keep in mind there. Okay, so that's done there. My role queries right now are pretty simple. All I really do in here is, you know, right now this, like, I'm checking for all the roles that a member would have. I can pull out all those different roles. So we can, like, I can get a list for what pages and things a user is allowed, and then I can kind of check based on that. So I can get all their roles and see what they're doing. I can see if they're an, you know, an account owner. I can find the account owner for something. This is what I was working on a minute ago, was just whether or not somebody is an account owner. And then we're grabbing that information and doing whatever we need with it. So let's finish that. Well, okay, let's go finish. Let's close this out and let's go see what's up with this error. So that's what I was working on now, just making sure that we get this error fixed. So I'm gonna log out just so you can see this whole process here. Thank you, have a nice day. I'm gonna log in here, and you can, I don't know if you can see that off the top here, like on the screen, because it's probably pretty small, but it says auth.rebase.signin or auth.rebase.test. That's how you actually sign in and sign out. So it takes you to a different login. And just to see how this works from the full thing. So let's say I want to go sign in on my domain, and my domain is Joe Sanflone. So I go joesanflone.rebase.test/login. This is going to do a redirect to auth.rebase.test/signin with a query parameter of 2 equals, and then my string, my domain that I'm trying to sign into. So this is how I can now check if this user happens to actually even have access to this site. So now I go in here and I just log in. So password 123 is my super secret password. Forgot password works and all that stuff too, but log in. All right, and now I'm redirected. You saw how fast that was. That was inertia and PHP. Like, inertia makes this thing blazingly quick to begin with, but now adding on top of that, PHP8, everything is just like super fast. It's unbelievable. So I'm logged in. I'm at the dashboard. There's nothing here. So if I go to switch, you can see what I have access to. I have access to 2 personal workspaces here right now. So workspace 1 was the one I was just at a minute ago. Workspace 2 is just Joe Sanflone-2, and that's it. But I go back to switch, and I want to go to customer settings. So I'm the account owner, which is why I have access to all of this stuff. I can go to customer settings, and this is where I'm getting this thing. So it's saying, hey, we're trying to access a method that doesn't exist right now. So this is where I'm having one of the problems with the fact that VSCode doesn't work. I'm like, where is it trying to call this that it's running into an error? I couldn't figure it out, and I was like, oh crap, this is a problem with VSCode. Not working exactly the way I need it to. All right, so I'm looking for get role attribute. Member.php. So I was playing around with, yeah, this thing here. That can now go away. And I was appending a kind of a virtual role in here. My original intent was that there's this roles column that has your list of everything that you have access to, and then I had I was kind of doing this like virtual role field that as you were logged into something, so if you were logged into one particular workspace, I could then check that user's role for that one workspace, and it was working okay, but again, then there just became a lot of problems with that when you left a workspace. So then you leave the workspace and you go up to like the customer level. So now you're not sitting in a workspace, you're like above all the workspaces. What's your role? How do we figure that out? So that became a gargantuan pain in the ass. That's like the nicest way I can say that. So all this stuff can go away from here because we don't need that anymore. It ended up being a lot easier just saying, you know what? Get rid of this horse shit and do it in a better way. And the better way happened to be by having its own table. Okay. And yeah, I could also have I was thinking about doing like a belongs to many in here to grab the data from the member, but I don't think I actually need this. So right now, I don't think I do. I might. There's a couple of cases where I think I might actually need that, and I will. When it's the time, I will. But right now, it's just like, you know what? I don't think I need to do the belongs to many and all that stuff because there's not that many times I need to check the role. So because of that, there's no reason to kind of like append all this extra data in there. I know I could just use like, I can eager load it, or I could just make like, you know, only load it, lazy load it basically when I need it. But for right now, I'm like, this is fine. All right, get rid of that. Cool, that's taken care of there. All right, now, where was it calling that? Again, great place to have the ability to role. Personal space, no. Repository. Here we go. Has workspace access. No, that's commented out. All right, awesome. That might be it. And again, that's commented out. Where is it calling this? Member filters. Nope, that shouldn't be. I don't even need that anymore again. This append role, I don't need that anymore. Model factory. Yeah, the nice thing about this is that I am kind of just like getting rid of a bunch of stuff. It is always nice to just delete code, I have to admit. Nope, that's right. Okay, so oops. Refresh, customer settings. Oh, there we go. I guess it was just that the virtual role stuff. Okay, cool. So there we go. Now we can see my customer settings. Boom. There we go. That's super easy. And you see that I'm listed as the account owner. All that worked perfectly. I only allow one account owner. So there are some tricks to the roles. I should, let's pull up the, I guess in the role factory would be the right place to, so the role model factory has kind of the rules built into this. So you can just see some of the interesting things it had to do. So an account owner, I'm doing an update or create in here, which I think this update or create was added to PHP8 or Laravel 8. It's kind of like an upsert. I think it was added then. But basically the idea is that we're going to look for something of type account owner, and we're going to update the ID. There's only ever one account owner. So I'll probably have to put in some other rule, like I've put in some other rules in place that says you can't downgrade an account owner. So if you look at the add account admin, I got to do a couple of interesting things here. So if we're trying to upgrade somebody from an account, well, let's say you have an account owner and somebody tries to make them just an admin, so trying to take away their access to this. If they are the account owner, you can't just automatically downgrade them. So we have to do a check to see, okay, does this person, you know, who we're going to find their ID, and if we find them, you know, does one of their roles happen to be, does it contain a type of account owner? Because if they're the account owner, we can't downgrade them. So we just throw an exception. And if it doesn't have that in there, then what we do is we remove all their roles. So again, if a person has 10 different sites they have access, and they have all different types of access everywhere to whatever it is, if they're being made an account admin, all those roles go away and they're just given the access to the account admin, which means basically they have super admin access to all this stuff under it. So again, this will be something on the front end that I have to make sure that we put clear messaging around, because if you have somebody who is just a member of one site, as soon as you elevate them up to like an account member or like an account admin, they now have super admin access to all that stuff basically under them. So if you didn't want them to have access to one thing, it might not be good to do. But again, and then yeah, so we do that. We create their role, like, so we just remove all their roles. We add the new role in for the account admin, and then adding a workspace role. Again, this one is it's not tricky, but it's, again, we have to do an update or create for this, because you can only have one role per workspace. So you can't be both a member and an editor. You're just whatever, you just pick one, because they all have kind of varying levels of access. So again, update or create on here, where we just check for your member ID and we check for your workspace ID. So this is the unique key that I'm basically looking on. So you're unique to basically your member ID and your workspace ID. And whatever that is, if that exists, then we just update your role. If it doesn't exist, we create the whole thing for the first time, and that's it. So update or create is very nice because it does it all in one one shot. So I highly recommend that if you're going to use this. If you're going to do something like this where you have to like find a user and then update it, or create them. It's just really super easy. I use Upsert too a couple places. I love the Upsert one too. All right. So where are we now? All right. So that's looking good. All that stuff works. Okay. So let's get back to now. Let's work on this the members page. So this members page is a little bit different from the other members page. So as a account level admin, like now if I click on members, I see everyone. So again, this is where some of these like things come into play here. So as the account owner, I can go into the members section in like the my dot page in the admin, and I can delete people from multiple workspaces. I can move people around. I got to be able to like do a bunch of different things to all the people on the site, add them, you know, do that type of stuff. So that would happen here as opposed to the admin section, or as opposed to the members pages inside one of the sites. That's where you would have like less control. All right, so I want to be able to click that button and then go to the members section. So let's start adding that in, and then we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. Close that out. Close that out. Oh, you know what I need to do too is pop open this and Yarn watch. Let's turn on Yarn. Oops. All right, so while that's building up, let's go into, this is going to be like a member index page, I guess. I should still run with that off like that. Okay, so yeah, members index. And in my where does that go? So app, HTTP, controllers, rebase, admin, members. Okay, so I need to create a new member index page. That's fine. I'm just going to copy this. Member index. I use invocable controllers because I think they're nice and clean. I'm just going to delete everything. I don't know what I'm going to need yet, but. And my rules. I don't need my validation rules. What is this? View this. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do here is just pull in the views of stuff. So this is just my the way I grab a view page. Instead of having to like do a path to a view file, Action just links me over to a matching page that happens to be this name, which I haven't created yet. So let's go create that page. So the path should be that it's an admin members, and it should be named member index. That's resources, JS, pages, admin, members. I'll just copy this page. Member index dot view. So this is going to there's too much stuff obviously here for this right now, but that's fine. Oh, this isn't the register layout. Let's just delete all this crap. Which layout do I want to do here? What layout is this on this page? The admin layout. Okay. So I have page layouts here, and this one is admin. And I don't need any of this stuff. Let's just do that for now. I'm just grabbing the, that's it, that's the name of this. Right, yeah, that's my template header. Members. Oh, that won't work yet. Let's go into admin sidebar and just actually add the link in there. So admin, this should be member.index. And that won't work because I don't think I added the route in there. No, so let's go to rebase admin, which are my routes file for this. Yeah, okay, I don't have that yet. Good. Copying this route, just dropping it down in here. So with routes, I try to keep them as organized as I possibly can. So these are just under the particular domain of like the my dot whatever. So these are like your admin routes. And inside of there, and like, you know, obviously you need these guys above the authorization because this is for verifying a forgot password and all that stuff. And then inside of here, I have my auth routes, and that's where this thing, because you need to be an authorized user to get into this page. So this is under members / member index. Yeah. Okay, so that should be good there. This I gotta kill that because I gotta rerun Ziggy. I keep saying to myself, I gotta figure out a way of getting Ziggy to run. Like I think I need to put a watcher. I don't know if I could do this, but maybe if I can figure out a way of like putting a watcher on my routes directory, and anytime you save that, Ziggy just reruns. I'm sure there's a way of doing something like that. I just haven't figured it out yet. And we broke that. Admin members action not found. Oh, okay, that's, see? Usually I put this in here and it automatically adds the correct use namespace, and it didn't this time because I don't have my stuff. App actions, that's what goes in there. I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't need you. Oh, no, I do need you. I don't even think I need the member repository yet, but okay, let's go back here to see what happens. Ooh, that's good. Yes, that's what I wanted. Okay. Console. Password meter is not defined. I don't need oh. It's like a missing superpower when all of a sudden you have like the like when you don't have certain tools that you expect. Oh God. Hey, there we go. Members. There, that worked, but it's not showing us the okay. Customer.index is not in route list. Customer index not in route list. Why are you not in route list? You should be. There is customer index. Not sure why it's failing there. Let's see. That is not at all what I was expecting. Custom index is not in the route list. How is it not in the route list of admin sidebar? That's a good one. So it okay. Let's oh wait, there it is. I see it. Yeah. I think Ziggy is correctly doing something where it says, okay, customer, it's associating this with this name, and then I overrode it right here. This should be member. So again, run Ziggy. There we go. Because I'm on the customer route, that's fine. Everything comes back. Hit that. Boom. Back at the correct spot. Okay. Cool. All right. So what do I want to do on this page? What is this page going to look like exactly? All I know for a fact is it should be just paginated data of all of my members at this point. That's the only thing I can think of, and I'll probably have to put like a search bar in there, so you can actually search for people. And we'll start there, and then we'll kind of build up from that point. And if I go over to customer index real quick, this is going to have something that I do want to steal, I think. Can you steal your own code? I guess you can. All right, so what I want is the data table. Yes. All right. So let's go over to, I'm going to copy this. So this is a little data table. It's just a table that I'm going to jack. And I think I can take it from here. All right, I want this whole grid. That one right there. Copy that and go over to member index, and we're going to drop it in there. Obviously, this will not work yet until we pull in all of the column or all of the stuff. So I want a data table. Let's import data table from what is this? Components data table. Resources JS. Where is this? Hey Robert, how will I handle SEO when it comes to inertia? Honestly, these pages are going to be kind of behind a thing anyway, so I'm not really worried about the SEO for this. But I do, if you've ever played with inertia before, or if you're thinking about it, I highly recommend joining the Discord chat, because there are people in there who have talked about it. Number one, I don't think inertia is that bad with SEO, if I remember correctly, especially in the beginning days when they were starting off. There were people who were really looking into it, and they're like, oh, this actually isn't too big of a deal. But they were also people who were like, oh, I was able to do this to help make it better. I don't know what this is, but I know if you do a search in the Discord channel, they have like, there's people who've done it before and who've worked with this. And so they'll probably be able to point you in the right direction if you're trying to do it. But for me, in this case, I'm not worried about it, because all of this stuff is authenticated. Like, it's stuff that's hidden behind authenticated stuff. So it's not too big of a deal. All right, so where are we? Data table. Where the hell are my components for this? That would be under components. Rebase. Data table. There it is. All right, that's the first one I'm going to need. And I'm probably going to need the action stuff too. So I have this data table, and then I have these action menus. An action menu is just a drop-down menu. So action menu and action link. I don't need this right this minute though. I don't need any of this stuff right this minute. I'm just going to do that. Until I know what I need, I might as well not have any data coming in here. All right, so the way this works is you give it a template for the header and for the body, and then you just do your stuff inside of there. This is all members. And I don't have a workspace. I have to pull in the members. So I'm going to just go up here to my props. I don't think I need that here either. So the props I'm going to pull in are the members. And this is going to be an array, I believe. Or it might be an object. So pull in that. Oh, let's pull in data table here. Okay. That member.id. Okay. This is not going to work because I don't have any. Yeah, it's going to blow up because I didn't pull in members. I actually didn't pull in the prop of members yet. So let's go back over here and let's just give it a, let's bring in these members somehow. So first thing I'm going to do is this. And I'm going to say members. Oops. And for right now, I'm just going to bring in an array, an empty array. Just want to make sure that I got the page working correctly, and I don't. See? Go to inspect the element. Just a big old blank page, no errors. My favorite kind of error message is when you don't have anything and it's just a blank page. It works. This is what I wanted, obviously. All right. Go back here. What did I do wrong? It's not even doing the, okay. Is it blowing? Okay, I'm pretty sure it's blowing up in the view file, but let's make sure it's getting here. Hi there. All right, so yeah, clearly it gets to this point, and then it doesn't render. It blows up, which, oh, look at that. See, okay, there we go. That's where the problem is. Okay, I didn't even notice that error. I had this too small. There we go. All right. It looks like it's missing the grid. Is that what it's going on there? Yeah. Okay. So there it is. So, boop, one, not enough closing div tags. There we go. Hey, there we go. All right. That's our blank table. All right, so let's go back here. Oh, nav equals members. That should work. I have a little nav thing to, yeah, so again, I don't know if you can see that from there, but it just made it white. So in my templates, I just basically have a little nav element that allows me to then just set it to selected, so that way you know where you are on the page. Okay, so that's good. That's working. Let's now put in some content. So I think what we're going to want here, if nothing else, we're going to want their name and their email address. And I don't know, something else. What other information are you going to want from a user? We'll start with just name and email address, and then I'll pull in data as we're going to want their roles. So I'm going to want to see their roles too, right? So that's going to be something in here that we're going to definitely need. Now let's just get this information out of the index. So how are we going to do this? This is where I'm going to need to go into my member repository and just get everyone, get all customer members, basically. Let's see what I have. So let's just do this for now. Members is equal to member POS repository query, and I don't know what queries I have on here. So let's double check. Member queries. Get all workspaces, find a member. I don't want to find a member. Can reset their password. Okay, that's all I have on here for right now. So the way I, these are kind of like query builders. Just so you're like, or I don't know if it's query builders. It's the, whatever it's called in Laravel, where it's like following a builder pattern. I forget what it is, but so I just need to, all right, so let's get all, I guess all I need to do is get all members. So I actually might not need to do much here, because there's no where at this moment in time, I don't think, right? No, I don't think so. I think I'm just getting everyone. All customer members. So just, this might be a little weird, but this query is equal to this model, turn this, because I think that's all I gotta do, really, in this case. Bear with me, I know this looks strange. Member index. And just call get. I think that'll get everybody. I think that's all I need to do. And we'll just dump them out as an array. Oh, I'm like, what the hell is that? It's because I didn't save this. All right, so now I should just be able to say in here, member.name and member.email. There we go. And that is everyone, but this is literally everyone. So first of all, I would just like to point out, this is a list of a crap ton of people, and that was really quick. Like, just to do that, I know it's running local, but it's still running off of Homestead. So this is like Homestead local, which is still like that extra step. And Homestead can usually be, and can sometimes be pretty slow. That was ridiculously quick to just get everybody. I mean, it's not doing anything other than just get everyone, but still. So let's paginate this, because that'll work here, but that's not going to work in the real world. So pagination, how do I do that? Let's go back to my queries. I should have workspace pagination somewhere in here, or maybe I do have it under. Let's see. I have a query that does pagination somewhere for me under customers, maybe. They're in that. Oh, okay. So was this one where I was just doing the filter by? Okay, so should then just be able to say, oh, I have my paginated thing already built in. So paginate, and I think it gives me a 10 by default. And oh, I need to pass it something else too now. Where's that? Remember, trying to remember where I put this stuff. No, that's not it. Workspace member index. That might have been it. Yes. Okay, here we go. So there's a couple other things on here that I don't need to, like this filter by, which right now I don't need to worry about. But yeah, so paginate 10, I think 10 is my default, and then I get the paginator items. So that's what I was doing there. I'm going to steal this. So that should be, let's do 10 again. I think 10 is my default. I don't remember anymore. If that just works. Boom, there we go. But it didn't give me my links. So clearly I need links in there. How did oh, I'm not passing in the links. That would be the reason why. Oh, I should probably do something with them. I think, oh, how did I do that? What I have to actually do is put a new template slot in here and say, here's your links, and drop them in there. But I think for right now, what I did was in the data table. I just pass in like a link prop. Yeah. So an array, not a string. There we go. Okay, so now you can see I just pass in this data. So my data table, it's probably doing too much. I'm going to have to clean this up a little bit. But for right now, what it's doing is I'm just passing in the links to it, and it's grabbing them, and that's it. So now we have all of our data nicely working. Pagination is working. This is really just using the Laravel paginator, and then I think it's just the simple paginator that I'm using, and I'm just dumping out the links into there. So that's kind of the whole thing. It's really not complex once you're bringing in Laravel. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So that's everybody. So now we have their name and their email address. This is good. What I probably now need to see is what other information do we have on these users? Let's go open table plus, because I don't remember all the info that I got on them. Okay, open up database and look at our members. So, all right, I know, hard to see. Again, you don't need to worry too much about the data. Well, obviously, we have their passwords. I have their profile information, which I don't keep anything in there right now. I have their verified @ token and their email tokens. So, okay, that's actually pretty good to know. Because what this means is that these people obviously haven't been verified yet, which means none of these people can log in other than me. So, okay, let's do something with that. Let's then say whether or not a user is active or inactive. And an active user is somebody who I'll define as who has logged in. And yeah, I think what I'll do here is, I think I'll do a computed property. I think that would make the most sense. I think I want to just do something where I say, user is active, and then we pass in like member is active. I'm just pseudo coding this out just to kind of get the idea here figured out. So it's like, member is active, and then I'd pass in like the member dot email, whatever the hell that was. Was that a date? Email verified @ yeah. And what I can do is just check and see if this is null. So if this is null, actually I don't even think I need to I don't probably even need that. I can just check if null. So if email verified at is null, then I can say they're not active according to my system. That means they have yet to log in, which would, I think, make sense for being a non-active person. Can I just do it that way? It might just work. True. So they are. Okay. So let's just. I'm going to pull this into a function, I think, in a second. But email verified at equals null. Then we can say if it's null, that means yep, that didn't work. All right. Let's see. Maybe I could just do. I don't think this will work either. Oh, it did. Look at that. Nice. All right, so let's double check that works if I give somebody a. Find this. Well, here, let's go to page 1. Find the very first person. And go into our table plus real quick. Fresh. Oh, okay. So now we can see that I've just activated this one person. So they're active and these people are inactive. I can even change the word. Like, it doesn't have to be the word active. We can just say, no, yes. So you can make this really whatever you want at this point. It's nothing. As logged in, no one, yes. Boom, there we go. The other thing I want to do now is add some actions to this. TD. We're gonna need my action stuff, so we'll grab that. The actions are. Let me grab that other table from. Member index view. So, all right, grab these 3 things, these imports. This is action menu, action link, and action button. Link. All right. And what these are, this is just a little component that I created that does basically a drop down. That's it. So I can put whatever I want in there. This is an action component that I have right up here. It just does that nice little drop down, gives you a way of kind of seeing some information and taking you somewhere else. So it's a button that takes you somewhere. Hence the name action. So let's go grab the action table from here to just copy that. Edit, delete, and what else? I think that's it for now. So, oh, that's the other thing. So there's kind of a default state for this, which is the default state for the action menu has these 3 dots. Otherwise, you can overload a template. So if you want, you can give it whatever text you want, and that's what I do up here. So if you go over to the admin.view, oops. You can see where I do that, if I can find it. I was in identity nav. Yeah, so this is the identity navigation section, which is that little thing at the top, because it's all about your identity and the user that happens to be logged in at that moment in time. So I have this button text template, which you can then override. So if you don't override anything, it defaults to the 3 dots. But if you do, you give it whatever content you want. So the content I'm giving it here is for the material icon circle for the person's face and all that content and all that good stuff. But here, I don't want that. I just want the 3 dots to kind of show that there's something more that you would click on. So I have this edit button and the delete button, or the edit link, which is going to link out to something, and a action button, which does some sort of thing. So in this case, it would delete the user. They look identical, and that's by design. I don't want them to look differently other than that. And a button should probably have a little bit of a difference. I might have like this. I'm thinking about adding some styles to this so I can say, hey, this button, like, this is a danger button, or this is like, this should have some sort of warning message attached to it. But generally speaking, I want the text to be pretty much identical. I want them to just look the same way, but I want it to be a button. If you're wondering why do I do it this way? Why don't I just make them both links or both buttons? It's a semantics thing. It's a link goes somewhere. So anytime you have a link, it should be a link out to something else. Anytime you have a button itself is an action. It's so you press a button to do something. So in this case, you would press the button to delete the user. So that's what these 2 things are. So I click here and I'm editing them, which means I need to go somewhere and do an edit on them. Otherwise, I'm pressing this button and I'm expecting the action of delete to occur. That's what those are. And that's why I have it set up that way. And by putting it under this thing as a menu, I can have like as many things as I want under here. I was thinking about originally having like kind of like a button list here, like just like a bunch of different things like in there and icons, but it becomes a mess. All right. I probably should. Now here's an interesting thing, and this is I think a little bit of a UX problem now that I have to kind of solve here too. I don't know. Let's look at this person here. This first person, Professor Nova Conroy. All this information came from Faker, so these aren't like real people or anything. I can't just look at this list really quickly and say, yes, he's a member of this particular these things. Like this is what his role is in these different pages. I don't have any way of doing that. Or I don't have any way of showing that information on this page. I guess I could put like, see, this is where it becomes a little tricky. Like there's a UX problem I think here. I could just dump all the roles to the screen. That could be a lot. That could be maybe, it's not as simple as just saying account owner and then just throwing that one thing in there. What if Mervin here, Mervin? What if Mervin is a member of 6 different workspaces, and he's an editor on 3 other ones, and an owner of 2? That's way too much information to dump onto this screen. So what's the best approach to this? I am a little bit unsure. I think you could do so. This is what gets a little tricky about this stuff. You think of this page as kind of a heads up display, so I can kind of see that where you would want to put that information, and I would want to have like, well, what are their roles? Like, what do they do? What is Mervin like? What is he a member of? So maybe I could put just like, like a little button that links you to something. Like there's just too much information. It would be information overload. Like I understand why somebody would want it, but I think that would just be too much for this table. So what's the right approach? Obviously, when I go into click this button and I go to edit them or view their information, like maybe there's another button to view, and view would be separate from editing. That would be the place where you would obviously see all those roles. We can have the page spread out in a a couple of different things. I can see their roles on one side, I can see all their information on the other side, and that would make perfect sense. Yeah, I mean, even like a drop down wouldn't make any sense here. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anything makes I don't think there's anything here that would make like great sense. Yeah, this is a tricky UX problem. Like, what do you do? You have the potential for a lot of very important data, but it's too much data for a table. It could be a table in and of itself. Maybe this table expands. So maybe there's a button in here somewhere that you click on and it says more. Like, see all roles. And then that opens up the whole thing. Like, it's a little bit like a slider. It opens up and it has all of their information for like all the workspaces, all their different roles right there. Unless they're an account owner or admin. So if it's an account owner or admin, it would just say right there. Yeah, maybe that's the way of doing it. So let's do it. All right, so just let's do this. I think it would be before this. So this is not real. Obviously, I'm just going to fake it with data for the moment in time. And I think what I want to do is that. I think I'll put it here. That would make sense, right? So name, email, and then role. Roles. So I think there's two approaches. So the first one is you're the account owner. What does that look like? I know this is going to be on everybody, but that's fine. So if you're just an account owner, it just says, oh, look, they're all the account owners. Or admin. There. And that's because, again, if you're an admin or the account owner, that gives you access to everything in the system. Therefore, that's just your role for everything and everywhere. There's no other role. Now, let's say all these people had multiple roles. I guess what I would do is maybe I put the number. So I put a count. So I say 12 roles. And then there's a view. Something like this. And then you click on this button and it opens up. I think that might be, that would probably be the, I don't want to say best, but I think that might be the only way of really doing this in a way that kind of just makes logical sense for this page. Because yeah, again, take Mervin here. So Mr. Mervin may have, even if he has access to 2 other projects, that would need to be, you would want to know which projects and what's their role. And again, being on this page, if I can just see that information, click view, drop it down, see what he has access to, add it, delete it, change it right there on the spot, that I think makes the best sense. So yeah, I think this is the way, I think this is probably the best approach. So now I have to figure out the fun thing of expanding a table row, which is about as fun as I don't know if there's children watching, so my children are probably somewhere, so I shouldn't say what it's about as fun as. It's just not fun. It sucks. Because table rows can sometimes just be a pain in the ass. So this is a table, and this should be a table. So let's think about that for a moment here. This is a table. And as a table, where should this go? There we go. All right. Say, yeah, and then obviously you have the whole frickin' as things get shrunk. I already do this, so that's not too big of a deal. Yeah, that goes to shit right there. All right, that's fine. This is still a table though. See, so this is a table. These are all the cells. I just make them larger. So I guess it's a hidden row. Yeah. I think it's a hidden. No. Ugh. I think it's a hidden row. Or it's a TD that has a call span of the total number of columns. All right, let's see what happens if I do that. Let's duplicate this node. Drop it at the end, and oop. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, that didn't do what I wanted. I was just hoping it would wrap. But yeah, there's no it wouldn't, because it's trying to span these columns. So yeah, I guess it wouldn't do that. All right. Yeah, I think it might have to be a hidden row then. Don't know how I feel about that. What is the reason why I don't like it? What I don't like about it is the potential hidden accessibility issues that may come along with that. So a hidden row means it's either not being read at all by a screen reader, which I think is what would happen. It wouldn't be read. And then all of a sudden you're injecting a new row into the page. So if it's display none, the screen reader would tell the user that, you know, this is a table. Table has 15 rows, let's say, or 10 rows. Yeah. Then I inject a new row into it, and it would say next row, and then now the person gets confused because now there goes from having 10 or however many rows into it to having another row. I don't know. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody who can't see the screen. And if they can't see it, what does the injection of another row in between two rows mean to them? And I think it would mean confusion. So maybe I keep it visually hidden, but I allow it to be read. So that way the user can hear that it exists, and then they know it's there, and it just reads to them the roles of the user. And maybe I put a skip link like in there to skip the roles of a user, because I'm not really trying to, like, all I'm trying to do is visually hide the information, but I'm not trying to. So this is like, see, so UX and tables suck. I hate tables. for UX purposes, because they can just be really complex like this. Like there's like, what's the right approach for a, for a blind or, low sight user here. All right. Yeah. I think I have to do another TR, leave that TR in there, and then do some sort of keep it hidden, like keep it visual, I guess visually hidden. Yeah. Visually hidden, trick. And then I'll probably have to eventually break out the screen reader and actually just listen to this, and just see like what the hell this sounds like. And then if it sounds really shitty, then I'm just going to have to figure something else out. Like maybe then what I do is, yeah, I don't know. Let's go down this path for right now, and then we'll go away from that, and if we need to. But I think this might be the best approach, which is kind of meh. All right. So starting off with that, let's add another row here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. This even is gonna. What just happened? Oh, it's not even gonna. It's gonna put that right at the bottom. No, this isn't gonna work the way I want it to. So getting the data out is not a problem. I'm not worried about that, which is why I'm taking the time. So if you're sitting here like you don't even know what the data is yet, or you don't have the data, like why are you focusing on this? Getting the data is really not that big of a deal. The issue now is more of just how are we going to correctly display this data, and it is a matter of correct. Like, I do believe it's a matter of how do we correctly put this on the screen, because how we put this on the screen is going to determine how a subsection of users can or cannot interact with this page. But one of the things is now by putting this here, that's going to fark up my v-for because I have a v-for on the table row, and by just putting this down here, it's not going to loop over that. So get rid of that. All right, so let's think about this now for another minute, and what could also be making it more difficult for me to figure this out is I gotta pee, but we'll worry about that in a few minutes. I want to see if I can think this through, and then we can go on from there. So, okay. If I just expand... Okay. So maybe the data is almost like an overlay that can be read, but it doesn't affect the... Okay. So imagine what we do here is this instead. You see your roles, you click the button, and it drops down from there as positioned over this whole page. So kind of sort of like this with the roles, but it's not the action menu because but it'll take over the entire, like that entire area, and it probably doesn't change the screen color. Okay, that might work. That actually may work nicely, because then it could be a list, which is what it really is. So, okay. Member. Okay. What does that look like? Let's start with it's a drop-down menu of some sort. Not an action button, just a button. view. Style, let's do the style. Let's open up our style tags. Lang equals CSS scoped. Oh, what the heck is the name of my thing? Here, let's just copy this. I have to import my abstract styles. So abstract styles for me are like all my variables and stuff. That's why I keep them. I keep them all in that thing. Okay. Let's do an H3. Whatever. I'm not worried about what that is at this moment in time. Yeah, okay. So then you click on this button, and that's going to open and close all these different things. Okay. That's starting to look like a thing, maybe? Maybe. What is this element? Let's just say... I want to just style this one element for a minute and see what we can kind of, what can we do with this? If I position this absolute, what is that gonna do? Yep, that breaks over everything, which is fine-ish, I think. Let's do that and then say background white so we can actually see it. Z-index right now is over it, which is probably going to stay that way by default. I think it should be fine where it is. And what happens if I set the width? Let's change, let's do 100%. What's that going to be 100% of? Oh, yeah, that's 100% starting from there. So I'd have to break this out. Okay, so let's do left 0. Oh boy. Okay, well, let's do left 0, right 0. And obviously that's too much. So maybe we try to set the position. There we go. Okay. So what I just did was I set the position to relative on the T body, which will keep that nicely encased in there. Yeah, I think this might be, well, let's fix the Z-index. So no, I do need the FUTs with the Z-index a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so, I mean, yeah, obviously that's ugly, but I think that might be the approach here. You click it, it drops it down. That might be, yeah. Okay, I think this is the way to go. Now it just becomes it's the data then lives in this field. I think that's, yeah, okay. I don't know what we'll call this. Table dropdown. It's a good name. It's a good name as any. There we go. Let's use our ugly styles for right now, just in here, because that's probably because we're not done clearly yet. And let's set the styles for that. Oh, let's just hit display none. That should hide all of them. There we go. And now Toggle table, toggle table, toggle drop down. That's not drop down. That's I have a function called that already. So that's why I'm thinking of a different name. Toggle roll view for right now. That's fine. That's more descriptive of what this actually is. Toggle roll view. And if I grab what's the easiest way of doing this that I could think of? So just the DOM way of doing this would be to just grab the next I think it's what is it? Like get the next sibling? Next sibling? I think that's the right. I gotta figure out the name of that. I don't remember it. But okay, so there's probably 2 or 3 different ways that you can do this, but I think the first way to do this would be to just you know, find the element you clicked on, which is just event in here. And I think that's event.target. And once you find that event, what can I do with it? I can then say, okay, next sibling. Toggle the display. I think it's next sibling. So let's console log the target real quick because I think that is what that is. Console click. Nope. I don't think you have to put anything in there. I think it's just it automatically gets the event. Toggle roll view. Oh, there we go, our logs. Yep, okay. So that toggle dot target. I think it's target. Let's go back there. Yes, there we go. Okay, so you can see through the clicking that I'm getting the actual thing that was clicked on. All right. So I think it's next. Or it's not child. So next might be the jQuery way of doing it, and I don't remember what the hold on. So what is that? Oh, you know what? The great site. You might not need jQuery. What I love about this site is that it tells you how to do some of these things, but I think sibling. Next sibling. Okay, see, it is just next element sibling. I might have to do well, let's see what happens there. Or not. I might have to actually get the element. I don't think that is the element. Oh no, look at that, it worked. Woo. So, I mean, that's obviously butt ugly and not exactly the right way, but we're getting there. All right, so that's actually even better. I mean, I don't have to do like an event, like a get to the anything. I could just say display block. Just to make this a little bit better, do 2 things here. Z. Let's just make it, let's actually make a toggle. So I can say let's element equal yes, this is the element. And then I can say L dot if is equal to block L dot style dot block. There you go. Cool. And we can make this way more robust, and I probably will, because that's not going to fly for everything. But a nice simple way of just kind of displaying some content here. So now I can click on this and I can see whatever their roles are, and then go from there. So okay. Yeah, so what we'll do next then is, well, I'm going to be ending this stream now. I think, yeah, it's 5:05 Eastern Standard Time. So next up for this is, obviously we got to pull the roles in. That's not going to be too difficult. So we already have the members index. I have all of the members. So now I just have to grab their like associated roles, which shouldn't be too hard, but I do have to grab it. I probably have to do another query and grab all the information and kind of just mush it together in a filter and dump it out. Nothing crazy, but I'll probably need to use the Java Laravel collection to just kind of mush everything together the right way and spit it out on the page. Nothing super serious, but something to do. Then after that, we can just display those results on the page, and we'll have to make that toggle thing work a little bit better. And I'm gonna think about tonight whether or not this is really the best approach, because truthfully, I'm not 100% sure. This is better than trying to like expand out the table row, I think, and it's gonna give us more breathing room to do something. But there are some concerns I have with just usability of it. So it's a start. We're getting somewhere with this. This is pretty cool. So now we have a way of actually just I think whatever this pattern is that I'm kind of coming up with here is going to be used in, I'm replicating this probably in a bunch of places, which is the other reason why I want to make sure I get it right. So that's it for now. Thank you so much if you watched. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this later on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you know when I stream. I usually try to stream anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard till about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I put these videos, I do this on Twitch at twitch.com or twitch.tv/JoeSamflone. And again, I do it on YouTube also, which is Studio Samflone, and whatever the events link is for that, or the videos will all just be there. So all these things that I do are going to be, will end up getting over to YouTube eventually. I think if you watch the replay, it's like the next day that it actually shows up. I'm also going to be putting this on into a playlist. So all of these videos that I've done, I'll have a playlist on YouTube, so you can go back and kind of watch. And it's all been kind of the same stuff. I've just been building the same thing out. So again, thank you so much if you've been watching. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will talk to you Friday, I believe. Have a good one.